When was the last time that you actually had any photos of the family printed? We're here today talking about how do you leave legacy in a digital world. Welcome to Saturday State of Mind. I'm Jess Panico, joined by Mike Panico. Hi, Mike.
Jess, we talk about estate planning all the time. It's one of the 5 pillars that we work on with our clients. When we talk about estate planning, I think people boil it down to like the maneuvering, the wills and the trusts. It's the documents, it's the drafts, it's the involvement of attorneys.
Who gets what?
Where do the assets go, in what proportion to what people, with what impact?
Is it probate?
Most of the focus, though, is on money and people. But it's not just money that is our legacy after we're gone.
No, there's, really the documentation of a life well lived. And nowadays, in this current year, in the 2020s that we're in here, it's not so easy as it once was.
You were talking about reading a book about the power of correspondence, right?
Yeah, it's a great novel that, centers around this 70-year-old woman. And it was a practice that she had ever since she was, elementary school lass. And I think it's a practice that's a little bit antiquated now that not as many people do. I mean, if you think when email was invented, that was really cool because you never got messages through email. So it was a different way to correspond. And now people get way too many emails. So then people started texting individuals, and then we started communicating through text. And that was cool. I don't know about you, but I get spam text messages and phone calls all the time now. So in order to get a unique piece of correspondence, to me, we've come full circle, and it would actually be a letter in the mail again. And letters are precious, right? Do you have any old letters from, people sending you love notes or a birthday card from grandma? Or I know you actually do have some letters in the attic, right?
I'm not talking about those letters.
You have some letters that you passed around with your friends in school. And I don't even think the kids do that anymore nowadays. But, it's fun to go back and look at memories that you have. But what do we do now where everything's digital? How do you pass that on?
It's just different. I had a similar experience reading about the Civil War, and it's like, well, how would you know how those people thought or what they were thinking about or what they talked about? And oftentimes they reference their letters. They wrote letters while they were at war to relatives and to their loved ones and to other generals and other things. So there's actually correspondence, but correspondence is not like the way email is. Like email is written in shorthand with like emojis interspersed into it. It's like cutesy, it's short, it's perfunctory. Whereas these letters that you see from like 100 years ago are like essays.
And like poetry too.
The grammar is like impeccable.
Penmanship is as well.
Well, there's no Netflix, there's no cell phones, there's no distraction. There's probably a tremendous amount of boredom.
Did you have penmanship class in school?
I did. I know how to write cursive.
I did too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're a dying breed.
That art, and it is art, is going away. So what happens after you pass? How do you leave this legacy that your family gets to have a glimpse into who you were?
One of the things we talk about is you've left this legacy, like where the car goes and where your bank account goes. But will anybody have insight into what you thought or like your email, right? It's probably accessed through something that's password protected. Does anybody even know that password? By the way, like, do you even want them to have that password? There's probably correspondence in there that you would like appreciate people seeing after you're gone. And there's maybe correspondence in there that you're like, that should stay hidden forever. So the point being is it's like, and we're going to talk about this in a second, there's a thing like photo albums. It's a little bit antiquated now, but if there's things that you've written or you've have yet to write that you feel like should like be a memento forever, if you're going to use email at some point, maybe print it out or maybe actually go back a little bit in time, commit something to writing with pen and paper, because that stuff can be stored away in a shoebox somewhere or in like a memento place, like wherever it is, a desk somewhere close at hand, a nightstand, because people will find those items of yours. And if they represent who you were or what you thought or how you felt about somebody, I think that's really special to think about, because otherwise that stuff just stays inside of your head.
I feel like Hallmark kind of ruined everything too, because if you get a greeting card nowadays, I give you a card on an anniversary, typically I'm writing at the bottom like, love, Jess. And all the sentiment is coming from Hallmark. It's not coming from me. Now, yes, they said it beautifully. Like those are the words I wanted to choose, but they've kind of stripped people of that creative thought and sitting down and writing like a caring message to their loved one.
Yeah.
So maybe they're all to blame.
You're blaming this all on big greeting card?
Yeah, don't tell them to watch this video. But you know what's actually, when you were talking about like maybe print off your email so the kids and grandkids can see it. And I don't know, maybe that's an idea. I've actually seen of late these books that certain companies sell that you actually will sit down with, say, like a grandparent or, you know, a loved one and interview them. And it's kind of like recording their biography. And there might be like one prompt and you sit down, you spend time with them, but you write their response in this book as well, and it's leaving their legacy behind. Maybe that's what we've resorted to in this new age we're in.
You know, it does remind me how in our office, Alicia, who's our wonderful marketing guru, talks about like if there were to be like a volcano that erupts in New England and smothers us all in ash. And
was there a hidden volcano in New England this whole time?
Probably, like in a fault line.
There's that earthquake that they say is never going to hit, but we're
possibly. We'll do that in another episode. And so, you know, when some later version of humanity goes digging through the rubble to find out like what life was like for the people who lived here in New England, her joke was something like her life would look to have stopped like approximately in 1995 or 2005 because she used to keep photo albums.
Sure.
Right? The people like at a family event would have a camcorder out and record something, and there'd be cassettes that would sit on a shelf near a television, right, in your house. That happened all throughout the late 80s, all through the 90s, some of the 2000s. And then with cell phones, all of that stuff stopped.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you know what happens is you take the pictures on your cell phone and, you know, maybe now there's better like cloud syncing, but I have so many old phones with pictures that went nowhere.
What happens to those photos?
And you're not, you know, putting it on your coffee table and you're not sitting down with somebody and like showing them all these photos. They're just sitting on your phone.
Do you upload them? Do you print them? Because when you're gone, like where they exist on a hard drive, who has access to it? What if that hard drive just like dies or decays from old age or it becomes obsolete technology? You know, the point that I think Alicia was making with the photo albums is at least there's a physical thing with the actual output of the medium there. The photos are there, the VHS tapes are there, the cassettes are there. In this digital world, all it takes is a little bit of time for technology to become obsolete, or because we don't actually create any output, we keep everything on a phone, all that stuff gets lost.
Well, Mike, it wasn't even that long ago. We've been married for 16 years, 17, something.
Brutal.
Okay. What? But a wedding video was recorded on a DVD. And we can't watch that.
Yeah, I don't know what we do.
I think you can buy an external drive and plug into anything, but that's not even that long ago. How do you access this technology? So, you know, you mentioned VHS. Like, I know your family is big that they rent the camcorder every birthday party, and then they would come on these like weird small like tapes, and then you can get those like digitally converted, or they would put them on the bigger VHSs. But technology adapts and evolves and change, and how do you access that? I think honestly the best is, you know, written correspondence. I don't need to download a software to see that. You have it tangibly on a piece of paper in front of you. Pictures, print them out. Leaving a legacy isn't all about the trust and the will. And I don't think it happens by accident. You actually have to plan for it.
Yeah, it's never been easier to send out an email, to take a picture, to record a video. It's so easy. It's like, in fact, the amount of photos that you take now in a given year is probably 10 or 100 times more than what you were doing 20 years ago. But it's all digital. Like something has happened on the other side of that convenience. We've gone from like, since it was hard to do, you would want like a tangible relic of the effort that you had gone through to create that thing. Now, because you can just, you know, snap 17 pictures in half a second, you just think, you know, it's not special anymore. And I think because of the convenience of storing it all, we forget about, well, what happens later? How do I get access to these photos 30 years from now when the technology has changed? Or if something were to happen to me, how would anybody find this stuff, right? So we can have a lot of intentionality around planning for the future. Estate planning, absolutely. You should have a will, a trust. You should talk to an attorney. Make sure your assets are protected. But there's a certain amount of energy you can put into preserving and protecting your memories.
I say this weekend, let's torture the kids and print out like 50 photos of each of us and just plaster it all around their bedrooms.
That'd be fun.
And then they'll have a lasting legacy. If this episode was helpful for you, hit subscribe and follow for more. See you next time.